Today, I'm going to count down my 5 essential things, simple steps, easy steps for you to do for your Toro lawnmower when you pull it out of winter storage for a guaranteed start this spring. Nope, my name's not Casey. I'm the lawnmower lady, and I like fixing small engines. Now, this particular mower is a Toro Personal Pace Recycler 22-inch. It has a Briggs & Stratton 7.0 190cc engine on it. The engine was manufactured in 2010, so it's getting on to be about 15 years old. This particular mower has the quick change bag disconnect, so you can either mulch with it or use a bag, and it happens to be model number 20332. Number 5 on this week's chart is the spark plug. Gonna look in that cap, and I don't know if you can see that, but that's just as clean as a whistle in there. This is a 22-inch magnetic socket. I prefer those over the ones with the rubber boots. You can also use a 13/16. And this guy brought this to me several years ago. I don't remember how many. I changed this out the last time, and that really doesn't look that bad to me. We're gonna check the gap and hit that with a wire brush, and I think we'll be good to go on this spark plug. You really don't need to buy a special spark plug gapper, though it does make the job a little easier. A Stanley knife is perfect because it's exactly 030 inches, which is what the recommended gap is, and that actually feels pretty good. A little bit of wire brush action. What you want to ensure is there's nothing between the center electrode and the strap there. That needs to be completely clear, no bits and pieces in there. And just blow it out really good, make sure there's no bits that fell in there. And I think this is good to go. Now, I'm not putting spark plug back in, because I don't want the spark plug in when I turn the mower over. Now, moving up to number 4 on this week's chart is to check the oil level. And the oil doesn't look too bad, but we're going to change it out anyway because it's been several years. They say to do it every year, but in my opinion, once every 2 years is probably fine. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the oil level is just there, just above that lowest mark right there. There's 2 little holes in there, and your oil level should be right in between there. There's only about 4 ounces of difference there, so it's not a lot. Now I've got this water heater pan under here so that I don't have any BP moments, and we're going to let all this drain right out. Now, while that oil is draining out, we're going to move on to number 3 on this week's chart, and that is under the deck. We're going to check out the blade and clean up under there if there's any excess grass. And I'll show you a quick pointer under there too. Now, the reason that I left the spark plug out is because I'm turning over this mower here. A couple of things we're doing. I'm going to inspect the blades. And that actually feels just fine. There's no divots or gouges in that blade. There's one little divot right there, but that's not going to hurt. So it has a sharp point on the end, so I think we're okay. It's also a time to check to make sure the belt, if you can see that is actually on the pulley. It hasn't come off, and I think that's not going to be an issue for us. Now, this guy does mow a little wet grass. Not too bad. Believe me, I've seen a lot worse. But my advice for anyone is just don't mow wet grass, because they don't make these mowers like they used to anymore. This is when decks were made out of a very heavy metal. Now they're just all thin. And these decks are rot out pretty quickly. Now, if your mower has this washout port, please use it. It's the best way to avoid accumulations of wet grass. I realize Sometimes you can't avoid mowing wet grass. Say you're going on vacation or something, I get it. But use this wash port. It's very easy. You hook up a garden hose, fire up the mower, it'll clean out all that wet grass very, very easily. But make sure it's clear, because it does get clogged up. So I think this has had plenty of time to drain. So let's get this turned back over again. We're going to finish this up. I like to pre-measure oil in a bigger jug, and that's right at 16 ounces. All these engines of this style take 16 to 20 ounces, and it's certainly a lot easier to add oil than it is to take it out. And if you remember where I showed you on the dipstick, the two places, the two dots, that's about 4 ounces of difference. So I think that's pretty good. Now that our oil has had plenty of time to settle, the dipstick in, check the oil level, and wow, I really don't expect you to see this, but it is right at the top, just below that top little hole. So that is perfect. All right, number 2 on this week's countdown is air cleaner. And this is just a standard screwdriver. You can also use a little 8mm or 5/16. Yeah, this is needs a new one. You can clean these out, but you know, we're already here. It's best, I don't know if you can see how much dirt is in between there, but it's best to clean these out periodically during your mowing season, you know, just in case. But I think this one's a little far too gone. Now, here's a new Briggs air filter, and it is Briggs part number 491588S. I don't really expect you to see that. 491588S. And this fits right in here. And when you go to put this back on, there are these 3 little tabs that fit in the bottom right there. And make sure that fits up there. But before we do that, check on number 1 on this week's countdown, and that is the fuel and carburetor check. This is an 8mm or a 5/16. We're going to easily just remove this air box right here. Ooh, these are tight. All right, all 3 of these little screws have they have like a little thread locker on there. Get those out. And we're going to gently pull off our air box. Oop, there's a Phillips head right there. Clean off as much of that dirt as you can. We don't want that going into our new clean air filter. Same thing on the carb. Just a little bit of dust and dirt on there. Doesn't look too bad to me. But I really don't know what the condition of this fuel is in here. But I'm not going to chance it. We're going to drain all that fuel out. So I'm going to put this, I don't know if you can see this or not, but there is a hole right on the deck right there. So I'm going to put this pan under there, and I'm going to catch whatever fuel comes out of our fuel tank here without making too big of a mess. There is a fuel clamp that comes off of right there. You can use a screwdriver if you don't have any hose pliers like this. But that fuel, he might have put new fuel in there, or there could be water in it. I don't know. We'll see when it drains out. I got a little bit that spilled off the front end, but majority of it is going out that little drain hole on the deck. Yeah, I think he'd probably just put fresh gas in here because I don't see any water or anything. That debris in there is what was just on the deck. Now, the guy says it does start and run, so we're probably okay. But just in case, we're going to take off this carb bowl and take a peek up under there. This is a 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter. A little bit more fuel comes out, which is expected. Now, this is your main jet, and since I see a little bit of debris on that bowl seal right there, I might want to go ahead and take off. I think I'm going to go ahead and take off the carb bowl. I try to avoid that to not disturb the gasket that's on the bowl, because sometimes they get kind of crunchy. But you want to make sure your main jet is clean. You can use anything. This is a bread tie that I stripped the plastic or paper off of. Guitar string works. That's what this is. But you just want to make sure these passages are clear and nothing's jamming them up, because that is the main jet. Well, there is a lot of debris on the outside of the bowl, but the inside looks perfect. So I think I'm okay. Just make sure that's good and clean. Make sure the bottom is good and clean. And if you look on the inside, if you see a lot of oxidation and corrosion, that means your bowl gasket has gotten kind of bad. So that would be a good time to change that. But this looks perfect on the inside. I don't know if you can see that or not, but looking up inside of that jet, it's as clear as it can be. And that bowl gasket, there's no white powder or oxidation on that at all. So I think that is good to go. Carefully fit that bowl back on there. Get that main jet started. It's kind of hard to do upside down. And make sure that's snug, not too tight. It's a brass jet and aluminum carb body, so fuel line back on and run that hose clamp all the way back down on there. Fresh ethanol-free fuel. Add just enough to get it started and check it out. Excess dirt and debris out of here. Make sure that breather tube goes back on here. Get these screws started. Starting by hand. So you really don't want to cross thread anything here. And once you get them all the way in hand tight, you do want to come back in. I always tighten the 2 screws on the carb first, because you can warp your air box if you do this outside screw first. Going to make sure this air box is clean. Make sure the underside, because that's where it actually draws in air, make sure that's good and clean. New air filter. These 3 guys right here, little hinges. Pop that in. That's that same 8 millimeter to tighten that down. That's the auto choke. That seems good. It's not banging up on anything. Now, if you've made it this far, here's your bonus for this week. Lubricate, lubricate, lubricate. It's going to make your mower keep on lasting more and more years. On the cables, any metal-to-metal parts, I like to use Tri-Flow. All the bicycle guys swear by it. And if they like it, it's good enough for me. Spray that on both ends. It'll work its way in the cable. This operates the drive cable. And if you do need to adjust it, if it's not starting, you want to adjust it right there by moving this outer cable either in or out if you don't have the travel and speed that you want. On these plastic to plastic parts, I like to use any heavy-duty silicone spray. That'll keep these plastic parts, plastic on plastic bits, now, on the wheel adjusters, I like to use something like PB Blaster or Liquid Wrench. They both leave a film, which will ensure that these wheel adjusters don't get jammed up. Now, on the axle itself, the bolt axle, if it's got a lot of divots in it or dings, it might be time to replace it, but you can also clean it up with like a Scotch-Brite pad. I like to use just white lithium grease. Spray just a little bit on there, not a lot. Come on. There we go. That goes right in there. Don't forget this shim that pops off. I think it goes on that way, looking at the witness marks. Not too tight. You can strip that out. That's going to run great. Same thing on the rear. Just unscrew that. And when you pull this thing out of here, there is this little stepped washer that only goes in like so. So don't lose that and don't forget that. Hit that wheel adjuster with a little bit of spray there. And this axle does have a little bit of a corrosion on it. Just going to make sure that's good. A little bit of that lithium grease. Looks good there. And that back through here. Make sure you get that washer on the right way. Line that big hole up with the gear. And same thing, not too tight. You can strip that, but make sure it's on good. The moment of truth. Oh, spark plug. That always happens. Spark plug, just get it finger tight and then just a little bit more. One more time with feeling. First pull. So I think this guy's going to be really happy with the mower. He doesn't need to do anything for another couple of years on it, but he does probably need to sharpen the blade. Now, if you follow these 5 steps for your mower, you're going to have a guaranteed start when you pull this thing out of storage. Now, if your blade's messed up, you're going to want to watch this video right here. Mow happy.